You know, it's funny the things your mind tries to rationalize. The little glitches in the day-to-day that you just brush off. A misplaced set of keys, a shadow in the corner of your eye that's gone when you turn your head. We're wired to make sense of the world, to smooth over the cracks so we don't go crazy. My name is Alex, and I'm here to tell you that the cracks are real. And sometimes they look back. This didn't happen to me, not directly. It happened to my friend, Mark. Mark was the most grounded guy I knew. An architect, he dealt in lines, angles, concrete facts. He wasn't the type to believe in anything he couldn't measure. That's why, when he first told me about the figure, I knew something was really wrong. He just moved into a new house on the outskirts of town, a development called Pine Ridge. Not old or creepy, a modern build, all clean lines and big windows. The kind of place that feels safe because it's new. There's no history there, or so we thought. The first time he mentioned it, it was almost a joke. Weirdest damn thing, he said over a beer. Guy just stands there under that big oak tree across the street every evening, like he's waiting for a bus, but there's no bus stop. He described him as average height, wearing a beige trench coat, the kind you see in old detective movies. His face was always in shadow, no matter the time of day. Mark said he thought it was a neighbor at first, maybe a little eccentric. But the guy never moved, never checked his phone, never looked at his watch. He just stood there, staring at Mark's house. Mark being Mark, he decided to handle it logically. A week into this, he walked outside, intending to just ask the guy if he needed help, if he was lost. The moment Mark's foot touched the pavement, the figure turned and walked away. Not hurriedly, not like he was guilty. He just rounded the corner onto Sycamore Lane and was gone. Mark said the way he moved was fluid, too smooth, almost like he was on wheels, his coat not even swaying with the motion. He said it was the walk of someone who had nowhere to be and all the time in the world to get there. He tried to forget about it, chalked it up to a strange local character. But the next evening, there he was again, same spot, same posture, same shadowed face. This time Mark didn't go outside. He stood at his living room window behind the curtain and watched. For an hour, the figure didn't move a muscle. It was like watching a statue. Then as the streetlights flickered on with that low electric hum, the figure did something. He slowly raised one arm straight out and pointed, not at the house in general, at Mark's window, directly at him. Mark jumped back, his heart hammering against his ribs. It was such a deliberate, unnatural gesture. When he gathered the courage to look again, the street was empty. This is where it gets under your skin, right? Because your brain is already trying to explain it. A prank, a weirdo, but it's the details, the lack of a face, the unnatural movement, the precision of that point. It pricks at that ancient part of your brain that knows some things just aren't right. The sightings became a nightly ritual. 6:30 p.m., like clockwork, the figure would appear, and every night he would point. Mark stopped looking out the windows after dark. He drew all the blinds, but he said the worst part wasn't seeing it. It was the feeling of being seen. That cold, certain knowledge that from across the street, something was watching him through the walls. He started feeling it during the day too. A prickle on the back of his neck while he was working from home, a sudden chill in a sunlit room. He installed security cameras, a whole system, the kind with motion sensors and night vision. The first footage he got was inconclusive. The camera aimed at the street showed the tree, the sidewalk perfectly clear, but the area where the figure stood was just blurred, a shimmering, vibrating patch of digital noise, like a heat haze or a smudge on the lens. You could see the tree behind the blur, distorted, but the figure itself was just static. But the cameras facing his house, they worked fine. He showed me the video from that same night. It's him in his living room, pacing. He looks exhausted, terrified, and then he stops dead. His eyes go wide and he slowly turns to look directly into the hallway camera, his face a mask of pure, unadulterated dread. On the audio, you can hear him whisper, so faint it's almost a breath. "How are you in here?" The figure was never on the interior cameras, but Mark could see him. inside his house, standing at the end of the hallway, just at the edge of the darkness where the light from the living room didn't reach. He said it never came closer than 10 feet. It never made a sound. It just stood and pointed. He'd wake up in the middle of the night and it would be in the doorway to his bedroom, a silent, dark shape against the dim light from the window, its arm extended towards him. He stopped sleeping. He started leaving all the lights on. He was a ghost of himself, pale and jumpy, his hands constantly shaking. I begged him to stay with me, to get out of that house, but he refused. He said it didn't feel like it was about the house anymore. It felt like it was about him. He said, and I'll never forget the hollow, broken look in his eyes when he said this. I think it's not pointing at me. I think it's pointing at something behind me, something I can't see. The last time I saw Mark was a week later. I'd gotten a string of vague, worrying texts and went over there, using my key when he didn't answer. He'd become almost catatonic, just sitting in his armchair, staring at the blank television screen. He wouldn't speak. The house was freezing. The only thing he did was write. He'd filled an entire notepad, pages and pages, with a single sentence, over and over and over again, the same words in his frantic, deteriorating handwriting. He held the pad out to me without a word. It read, "It's not a man." It's a question I didn't understand. I still don't, not really. I told him I was calling for help, that we were leaving right then. He just nodded slowly, a single tired tear tracing a path through the grime on his cheek. But he didn't get up. I went into the kitchen to call 911, my hands shaking so badly I could barely dial the numbers. My voice was a frantic whisper as I explained to the dispatcher that my friend was having a mental health crisis. And that's when I heard the front door open. Not a slam, a slow, deliberate creak. I dropped the phone and ran back into the living room. The chair was empty. The front door was wide open to the chilly evening air. I ran outside, yelling his name into the quiet street. It was deserted. The streetlights were already on, casting long, distorted shadows. And then I saw it, under the oak tree. The figure. The beige trench coat was unmistakable. It was just standing there, and for the first time I was seeing it with my own eyes. It was both utterly mundane and completely cosmically wrong. The air got cold, dead cold like a walk-in freezer, and the streetlights, they didn't go out. They just dimmed, their orange glow shrinking down to a faint, dying ember, like all the energy was being sucked out of the world. The figure was too far away to see its face, but I could feel its attention on me. It was the most violating feeling I've ever experienced. This profound sense of being known, completely and utterly, by something utterly unknown. It wasn't hateful, it was observant, deeply, terribly observant. It raised its arm, slowly, deliberately, the same motion Mark had described, and it pointed. Not at the house, not at me. It pointed down the street behind me. I didn't want to turn around. Every cell in my body was screaming at me to run, to get in my car and never look back. But you have to understand it compels you. It makes you need to see. It makes the act of not looking feel like the most terrifying thing of all. I turned my head, my neck stiff with fear, and there, at the far end of the street, under another dim, dying streetlight, was another figure. Identical, same coat, same posture, pointing back at the first one, and beyond that one, further down at the very limit of my vision, where the darkness started to swallow the road. I think I saw a third, and maybe a fourth, a chain of them, a silent, motionless circuit, pointing, marking a path through our world, a path that went right through his house, right through him. I looked back at the first one, my breath catching in my throat, and in that instant, the streetlight above it flickered, just for a fraction of a second, and the shadows on its face cleared. There was no face. There was no malice, no anger, no monster. There was just an absence. A smooth, blank space where a face should be, an empty, peaceful, terrifying nothing. And in that void, I understood Mark's note with a clarity that felt like a physical blow. It wasn't a man, it was a question that doesn't want an answer, A question that just is. And it was pointing at us because we were part of the equation. We were the variables. The lights returned to normal with a soft, sudden surge. The figures were gone. The street was just a street again. The police came. They searched for weeks. Mark was never found. The official report suggests he was under immense stress, had a psychotic break, and wandered off. Maybe he did. It's the most logical explanation. It's the one I try to hold on to. But I still live in this city, and sometimes, late at night, when I'm driving home on some empty suburban road, I'll see someone standing under a streetlight. Just a person, waiting for a ride maybe. My heart will stop. I'll slow down, my hands gripping the wheel, my knuckles white. And every time without fail, they'll turn their head. And for a moment, just a moment, in the shadows. They won't be pointing, not yet. They'll just be looking. And I'll wonder if they're seeing the same thing I saw in that flicker of light. Not a monster, not a ghost, just a question. And I'll drive away faster, the taste of copper fear in my mouth, trying to outrun the feeling that one day I'm going to be the answer. And I have no idea what the question is.